Welcome back, students, to another video with me, your host and Professor Earl Care Brown. We're going to look at LanceBox-X and specifically how to web scrape with LanceBox-X. As we know from class, LanceBox-X is a powerful tool for analysis of language, and we've seen it several times, and we've only ever used it with our own text files on our own hard drive. In this video, I want to show you how to have it web scrape for you. So let's say I want to get all the speeches of Jeffrey R. Holland given at BYU from the BYU Speeches webpage. And it's good. So here are all the speeches. They're just links on this page. But if you click into one of the links, then it'll take you to one of the speeches. Here it is. Here's the actual speech. Here is the text of the speech, right? The transcript, video and audio there. Awesome. In a previous video, linked to above, I show how to use Python to do this. Basically, grab the links and then go to each link and scrape out the text. In this video, differently, I want to show you how to use LanceBox-X to have it scrape the text for you and put it into a corpus in LanceBox-X. You can then do part of speech tagging and then use it as we have seen with other corpora in LanceBox-X. Okay, so I'm going to need some links. So what you can do, let's jump back over to LanceBox real quick. So here in LanceBox, I'm at the default page when you open it up, right? It's a keyword and context display, and there's an example corpus here if you don't have another corpus already installed. And then down here, if you click on the name of the corpus that's currently being used, which I just did, I put my cursor over example corpus in the top left of my screen and then clicked on it once. And then it brings up this menu, right? And I have a list of corpora here. The very top option says add corpora. So I'll click on add corpora right there. And then it should bring up, there it is. It brings up this page, which has 3 tabs. We have Corpus Hub. You can get some sample corpuses there. We have My Data. This is what we've used in our class so far, just simply using TXT files on our own hard drive. But the third option there, the third tab, is Web. So you can actually give it some URLs and have it scrape for you. So let's do that. I'm going to call this Holland. I'll just type in Holland there at corpus full name. I won't worry about a short display name. It is English. And then here I need to put in, just paste in the links to the pages that I want it to scrape. And importantly, let me just say right now, right below that box, it says limits. And it says pages 100 and it says depth 2. What this means is that the default behavior is it's meant to, you give it some URLs, some initial URLs, and then it grabs the text out of those web pages, but then it also grabs the links on those web pages and goes out to those web pages that are linked to from the first web pages and scrapes all the text out of those pages. And then it finds all the links there and goes out another layer, another level to those web pages and scrapes out the text there. So it's a crawler. It's basically a web crawler where it's crawling out and grabbing text as it goes out, finding text, finding links, and going and continuing out. So I actually want to change that to 0. The default is 2. I actually want to push it down to 0 because I want it to only grab the text from the URLs that I give it in this box called initial URLs. So that's important there if you only want it to scrape the specific URLs that you give it. That's what we're going to do. Let's jump back over to here. So this is the home page, the kind of the page with all the links to these talks by Jeffrey R. Holland at BYU. There's a couple ways you could get the links. You could just simply click on a link and go into the page. And then in the address bar up here, right where I'm circling at the top, you can Control-C or Command-C on Mac to grab that link. Come back over to LanceBox and just paste it in Control-V or Command-V. Like that, and then a new line. The next link goes on the next line down. You can go back and click on the second one, and then come up here, Control-C or Command-C, go back to LanceBox, Control-V, etc. That's one way. That is a super slow, onerous way to do it. There's got to be a better way, right? How can we automate getting the links out of a web page? There's got to be a way. Oh yeah, Python and Julia and R and many other scripting languages can scrape links out of pages for us. That's what we're going to do. We're going to give our Python script this URL that has the links to the talks. So I'm going to grab this up here, this URL at the top of my screen, this kind of the landing page where all the talks are linked to. Control C that, copy that. And I have a Google Colab notebook in Canvas linked to there. And I'll actually link to it in the description of this video as well. Link to this Google Colab notebook I'm displaying right now. And so I put in the URL to the page with the links to the talks right there. Speeches, BYU EDU, speakers, Jeffrey R. Holland. Let me just double check that. Top of my screen. Speeches, BYU EDU, speakers, Jeffrey R. Holland. Yep, that's it. And then the next thing I'm going to show you is called Selector Gadget. Not Inspector Gadget, but Selector Gadget. Selector Gadget is a Google Chrome extension that is really useful to find elements on an HTML page. And it also works in Brave. Brave is a Chrome derivative. So in Brave, I'm using Brave right here. If you come up to, in the top right of my screen, if you come up to these 3 horizontal bars that I'm circling with my cursor right now, you click on that and expose this menu. About halfway down, there's an extensions menu right there, option. So I click on that, and it brings up this view. I already have it installed, so it's sitting right there. But if you did not have it installed already, you'd come down here, it says find extensions and themes in the web store. If I click on that link to the web store and I search up Selector Gadget, there it is, the top option. I have it installed already, so it says install, but you can click in here and then you would click on install. I imagine this blue button would say install for you if you don't have it installed already. Okay, so go ahead and install that. And then let's jump back over to this page with the links to the talks by Jeffrey R. Holland. I need to turn on Selector Gadget in order to use it. And how you do that is in Brave, you click on the extensions icon on the top right of my screen that I'm circling right now. And it looks like a puzzle piece. And then you select Selector Gadget and it turns it on. In the bottom part of my screen, bottom right of my screen, you can see it. I don't know if you noticed, but it created a little bar here. Right now it says no valid path found, clear, toggle position, XPath, and some other things right there. It pulled that thing up, and as you see it, when I hover my mouse around on different elements of this page, it's circling them in, or putting a rectangle around them, an orange rectangle. So the way to select an element that you wanted to find is you just use your cursor and do a normal click, just one click, and it highlights in green what I actually clicked, and then it highlighted in yellow what it thinks it should also get given what I have clicked so far. But I don't want it to get this other stuff. Like I don't want it to get that link right there nor these other things. And so I'm going to click, just a regular click on one of the things I don't want it to get. And it de-highlighted those, right? And so now I have a couple highlights. I have green, what I originally selected. It says, okay, this is good. And then it has now in red what I selected again to say I don't actually want that. And then it has highlighted in yellow the things that it also will get using the current CSS selector. Okay, so I'm just going to double check it has all the links that I want it to get. It does indeed have all the links I want it to get, so that's good. And so at the bottom part of my screen, right here, I'll highlight it. It says dot card 2 underscores header 2 dashes reduced space A. That is the CSS selector. CSS selectors are a way to find elements on a web page. I'm going to Control C that or Command C that, copy it, and then come back over to my Google Colab notebook and just slap it into a variable like that. There it is, right? Period or dot card 2 underscores header 2 dashes reduce space A. Good, so I'll run that, and when it has finished running, it will have a green check mark like that. Good. And then here, there's not a whole lot of Python code happening here. All I'm really doing is I'm saying, hey, Python, go out and request this page that I give you as a URL here in this variable called URL, and then create what's called a beautiful soup object from it, and then select out the elements that match this CSS selector. By the way, that CSS selector means that dot in CSS selector syntax means a class. So it's going to look for an HTML element that has an attribute of class with a value of card 2 underscores header 2 dashes reduced, and then it's going to find a child HTML element of A, which is anchor. And then here I grab out the links, the hrefs out of there, and And then here I open up a file to a TXT file, and I loop over those, and I simply print them out to the screen and also write those out. So if I run this, it should run pretty quickly. There it is. It has grabbed all of those links on that page. All right, so it grabbed each of these links in green or yellow on this page now, and it just simply has printed them here on my screen, but it has also created a TXT file. So if I click on this icon, it looks like a folder on the left part of my screen in this Google Colab notebook. It'll expose the file system, and there it is. There's the links.txt. If I double click this, it'll open it up in a viewer in Google Colab right here, and there are the links as well. Cool. If you want to download this TXT file, you can click on the 3 dots right there and say download, and it will download it. Cool. I've already done so before. I guess I can show you that. If I go to downloads here and look at links, open it up, there they are. There are the links right there as well. So you need to highlight the links either here in the TXT file, or you could do it simply back over here within the Google Colab. Just highlight with your mouse if you can without clicking on one of them. Just highlight with your mouse those links. Oops. It's actually a little bit easier with the TXT file than here, but Control C or Command C. Now we're ready to jump over to Landsbox. Let's go back to Landsbox and get rid of that, and then just paste all of those links. There should be 27 links if I'm not mistaken. There. Okay. Good. So again, the whole purpose of this Python code was simply to grab the links off of this page. And the purpose of the selector gadget was simply to find what the CSS selector syntax would be or should be that we would put into our Google or our Python code to find those links. Okay, good. So we're now ready to go back over to Landsbox and actually create the corpus. But before we do that, let's double check. I do want to do grammatical part of speech tagging right there. So I'm going to select grammatical, make sure that's checked next to tagging. So it'll do part of speech and lemmatization tagging for us. And good. So let's just create it. And it's going to bring up a window over here. Let me grab it so you can see what it's doing now. So scraping initial URLs, it's on 2 of 27. Tagging text, collecting, now it's on 3 of 27. Tagging text, collecting, now 4 of 27. I think I'll pause the video for you, the viewer. All right, it's almost done. It's on 26 of 27. Tagging text, good. Tagging text, good, good. Almost done. And collecting, preparing the text, merging, good, good. Finalizing index. Bingo, there it is. Web scraping complete. Your new corpus is ready to use. Awesome. In the bottom right of my screen, I'm going to click close to close that window. And then I am going to click on example corpus and find my new corpus that I called Holland right there. And now it should be available. If I just search for a word, I'll just search for faith. I'm in the keyword and context tool of Landsbox. In a previous video linked to above, I show the other tools in Landsbox. But we're just using the keyword and context tool right here. Makes some bigger context size there. Good, so here's faith. And in context, right, there are 187, 86 that is, 186 tokens of faith. And the file column actually gives the URL that each node word occurs in. So yeah, you can use this corpus now as we have with any other corpus that we've seen in Landsbox X. So you can use the Colokit tool if you want to, or the text or the word tool, etc. So it's just like any other corpus at this point. And I could do part of speech tagging if I wanted. Let me say part of speech is equal to, and this is actually a regex, so I'll just go ahead and put a word boundary right there and then say any other character 0 more times. So I'm looking for any verb, anything tagged as a verb. And we have almost 24,000 verbs in these 27 speeches by Jeffrey R. Holland. There they are, verbs. So there you go. You can use Landsbox X to do web scraping. See you next time.